Alright, ladies and gentlemen, in this video we're going to talk about sign diagrams. Now these are super simple, okay, and a really easy way to get some good marks, I reckon. So let's have a look at some examples. So let's say I've got a graph, yeah? Okay, here's my graph. Alright, it looks like this. And it goes like that, okay? What is a sign diagram? Hey, let's say this point goes through -2, this point goes through 1, this point goes through, I don't know, 4 on the x-axis. A sign diagram is simply saying when it is a positive or a negative referring to the position of this graph. Okay, this graph is like f of x of something. Okay, over in this point here, before the -2. So in a sign diagram, I'm going to write that -2 down. I'm going to write where it crosses the x-axis every time on my sign diagram like this. Okay, so I label some positions, all right, essentially a number line, and then I say whether it is a positive or a negative value. So let's have a look at this here. The function of x, which we know as y, right, this y value, what is it? Is it a positive or a negative? Well, it's a negative. So on my sign diagram, I say negative, okay? Because the f of x is essentially y. When it goes above -2, we can see that between -2 and 1, that y value is a what? Or that function of x is a what? It's a positive, right? It's a positive value. Between 1 and 4, we can see that y value or that function of x value is a negative. Okay, and then above the 4 we can see that is a positive. That is a sign diagram, ladies and gentlemen. So it is simply labeling the points at which it crosses that x-axis, and we're stating whether the value is a negative or a positive for our function of x. Now this will change when we do calculus and we're talking with derivatives, okay, but for the purpose of this, this is it, the function of x. Okay, essentially our y value, is it a positive or negative each time? So I'll just label those as positive or negatives, and we can see that on our sign diagram. Now a different example of the function of x. So this is a different equation, obviously. It looks something like this. Now our sign diagram, how's that going to look? Well, let's say, this is the -5, this is at 2. Okay, well, I'm going to write down where it crosses and where it touches. So here we've got a -5, okay, and over here we've got a 2. What happens? Well, here's where y is what? Negative. Okay, our function of x is negative here. Above that, okay, we can see that between -5 and 2, our function of x is going to be positive. What about after? Well, it's still positive. Okay, so I'm going to write that down on my sign diagram like that. Okay, so really simple, nice and easy sign diagrams. Good couple of marks for you there. All right, let's think about this one here. This looks a little bit different. We can see, what are these dashed lines? Okay, there are asymptotes. That's where the graph can never cross. So let's think about this in a sign diagram. Here we go. I'll label my points. Well, I can see it crosses at 1 here. Okay, so this value actually crosses at the point 1. Before that one, okay, what is the function of x doing? Is it a positive or a negative? Well, it's a positive, right? Now here's where it crosses at 1. What does it become? It becomes a negative. Now, what do I do here? Well, this is a point at which it can never cross. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to label this like so in my sign diagram and say that's my asymptote at what point? 2. So between 1 and 2 we can clearly see it's going to be a negative, right? Now this just denotes an asymptote on our sign diagram. After 2, what is it again? Where is it? It's up here. It's positive, right? Okay, so that's all it is. That's all that a sign diagram is, stating the function of x. Is it a positive? Is it a negative? Y. Okay, and just remember that is an asymptote labeled there for my x values. All right, hopefully this gives you a hand, ladies and gentlemen. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to ask. Cheers.